films, we always see the tarot being used in seedy parlors or dark back rooms. A woman seated in the shadows reads the cards for a nervous young girl. The woman lifts her fingers and drops the death card. The girl pulls back, frightened by the sign of her impending doom. This aura of darkness clings to the tarot cards. Even now, some religions shun the cards. Let's set aside these shadowy imageries for now and consider the tarot simply for what it is, a deck of pictured cards. The question becomes, what can we do with them? The origin of the tarot is a mystery. We do know for sure that the cards were used in Italy in the 15th century as a popular card game. Wealthy patrons would commission the beautiful decks. Some of these decks are still around today. Later, in the 18th and 19th centuries, the cards were discovered by a number of scholars of the cult. These gentlemen were fascinated by the tarot and recognized that the images on the cards were more powerful than a simple game. The true history of the tarot was revealed by connecting the cards to Egyptian mysteries, Hermetic philosophies, the Kabbalah, alchemy, and other mystical ways. These pursuits of the tarot continued until the early part of the 20th century, when then tarot was incorporated into practices of several secret societies. The root of the tarot seemed to fall under occult traditions, but interest in the cards has expanded in the last few decades, and now it includes many different perspectives. Now decks have been created that reflects those interests. There are Native American, Egyptian, herbal, dragon, and Japanese decks, among others. A traditional tarot reading involves a seeker, someone who is looking for answers to personal questions, and a reader, someone who knows how to interpret the card. After the cards are shuffled and the deck is cut, the reader lays out the chosen cards in a pattern called a spread. Each position in the spread has a meaning, and each card has a meaning. The reader combines these two meanings to shed light on the seeker's questions. The standard tarot deck consists of 78 cards divided into two sections, the major and the minor arcanas. The 22 cards of the major arcana are the heart of the deck. Each of these cards symbolize some universal aspect of human experiences. Each card in the major arcana has a name and a number. Some names convey a card's meaning directly, such as strength, justice, and temperance. Other cards are individuals who personify a particular approach to life, such as the magician or the hermit. There are also cards with astronomical names, such as star, sun, and moon. The major arcana cards are special because they draw out deep and complex reactions. A major arcana card is always given extra weight in a reading. When one of these cards appear, you know the issues at stake are not temporary. They represent your most basic concerns, your major feelings and motivations. The Fool's Journey is a metaphor for the journey through life. Each major arcana card stands for a stage on that journey, an experience that a person must incorporate to realize his wholeness. The Fool, number 0, a card of beginnings. The Fool stands for each of us as we begin our journey of life. He is a fool because only a simple soul has the innocent faith to undertake such a journey with all its hazards and pain. At the start of his trip, the fool is a newborn, fresh, open, and spontaneous. The figure on the card 0 has his arm flung wide open, his head held high. He is ready to embrace whatever comes his way. But he is also oblivious to the edge on the cliff he is about to cross. The fool is unaware of the hardships he will face as he ventures out to learn the lessons of the world. The fool stands somewhat outside the rest of the major arcanas. 0 is an unusual number. It rests in the exact middle of the number system posed between positive and negative. At birth, the fool is set in the middle of his own individual universe. On setting out on his journey, the fool immediately encounters the magician, number 1, and the high priestess, number 2. The great balancing forces that make up the perceived world. The magician is the positive side. He represents the active, masculine power of creative impulse. He is also our conscious awareness. The magician is the force that allows us to impact the world through a concentration of individual will and power. The high priestess is the negative side. She is the mysterious unconscious. She provides the fertile ground in which creative events occur. She is our unrealized potential, waiting for an active principle to bring it to expression. The terms positive and negative do not imply good and bad. The magician and the high priestess are equal in value and importance. As he grows, the fool becomes more and more aware of his surroundings. As with babies, he first recognizes his mother, the warm, loving woman who nourishes and cares for him. He also comes to know Mother Earth, who nourishes him on a larger sense. The Empress, number 3, represents the world of nature and sensation. A baby delights in experiencing everything he touches, tastes, and smells. He cannot get enough of the sights and the sound that enhance his senses. It is natural to delight in the abundant goodness of Mother Earth, who surrounds us with her support. The next person the fool encounters is the father in the figure of the emperor, number 4. He represents structure and authority. As a baby leaves his mother's arm, he learns that there are patterns to this world. The fool also encounters rules. He learns that his will is not always paramount, and there are certain behaviors necessary for his well-being. There are people in authority who will enforce such guidelines. These restrictions can be frustrating, but the patience and the directions of the Father, the fool begins to understand their purpose. Eventually, the fool ventures out of his home into the wider world. He is exposed to the beliefs and the traditions of his culture and begins his formal education. The Hierophant, number 5, represents the organized belief systems that begin to surround and inform the growing child. A Hierophant is someone who interprets knowledge and mysteries. On card number 5, we see a religious figure blessing 2 acolytes. Perhaps he is inducting them into a church membership. Although this image is religious, it is really a symbol for all kinds of groups or secret societies. The fool learns to identify with a group and discovers a sense of belonging. He enjoys learning the customs of his society and showing how well he can conform to them. Moving along on his journey, the fool faces 2 new challenges. He experienced the powerful urge for sexual union with another person. Before, he was mainly self-centered. Now he feels the balancing tendency pictured in the Lover's card, number 6. In this card, the fool yearns for relationships. The fool also needs to decide upon his own beliefs. This card shows that at some point he must determine his own values if he is to be true to himself. By the time the fool becomes an adult, he has a strong identity and a certain mastery over himself. Through discipline and willpower, he has developed an inner control which allows him to control his environment. The Chariot card, number 7, represents that ego. It represents the fool's crowning achievement. On card 7, we see a proud figure riding through his world. He is in control of himself and all that he sees. For the moment, the fool's assertive success is all he might wish, and he feels a certain satisfaction. Over time, life presents the fool with new challenges, some that causes suffering and confusion. He has many occasions to draw on the quality of strength. The Strength card, number 8, shows the fool is pressured to develop his courage and find that his heart is going to keep going despite all of the setbacks. Sooner or later, the fool is led to ask himself the age-old question, why? He becomes absorbed with the search for answers, not from curiosity, but out of a deeply felt need to find out why people live, if only to suffer and die. The Hermit card, number 9, represents the need to find deeper truth. After much soul searching, the fool begins to see how everything connects. He has a vision of the world's wondrous designs, its intricate patterns and cycles. The Wheel of Fortune, card number 10, is a symbol of the mysterious universe whose parts work together in harmony. When the fool sees the beauty and the order of the world, if only briefly, he finds some answers he is seeking. Sometimes his experience seems to be the work of fate, a chance encounter, or a mysterious occurrence that begins the process of change. The fool may recognize his destiny in the sequence of events that led him to his turning point. Having been solitary, he feels ready for movement and action again. His perspective is wider, and he sees himself with a universal plan. His sense of purpose is restored. The fool must now decide what his vision means to him personally. He looks back over his life to trace the cause and the effects relationships have brought him, and he takes responsibility for his past actions so he can make amends and ensure a more honest course for the future. The demands of the Justice card, number 11, must be served so we can wipe the slate clean. This is a time of decision for the fool. He is making important choices. Will he remain true to his insights, or will he slip back into an easier, more unaware existence that closes off further growth? Undaunted, the fool pushes on. He is determined to realize his vision, but he finds life is not easily tamed. Sooner or later, he encounters his personal cross, an experience that seems too difficult to endure. This overwhelming challenge humbles him until he has no choice but to give up and to let go. At first, the fool feels defeated and lost. He believes he has sacrificed everything, but from the depths, he learns an amazing truth. He found that when he let go of his struggle for control, everything began to work as it should. Rather than fighting them, he felt a surprising joy, and from that moment on, he began to flow with life. The fool feels suspended in a timeless moment, free of urgency and pressure. In truth, his world has been turned upside down. The fool is the hangman, card number 12. The fool now begins to eliminate old habits and tired approaches. He cuts out non-essentials because he appreciates the basics of life. He goes through endings as he puts the outgrown aspects of his life behind him. His process seemed like he was dying because it is death. Card number 13. Death is not a permanent state. It is simply a transition to a new, more fulfilling way of life. Since embracing the hermit, the fool has swung widely back and forth on an emotional roller coaster. Now he realizes the balancing stability of the temperance. Card number 14. He discovers true poise and equilibrium. The fool has health, a peace of mind, and a graceful composure. What more could he need? On everyday terms, not much, but the fool is courageous and continues to pursue the deepest levels of his being. He soon comes face to face with the devil. Card number 15. The devil is not an evil, sinister figure residing outside of us. He is the knot of ignorance and hopelessness lodged within each of us at some level. The seductive attraction of the material world binds us so much we often do not even realize our slavery to them. How can the fool free himself from the devil? Can he root out his influence? The fool may only find release through the sudden change represented by the tower. Card number 16. The tower is the ego fortress each of us has built around our inner core. Gray, cold, and rock hard, this fortress seems to protect, but it's really a prison. On the tower card, you can see enough power to smash the walls of the tower. You can also see an enlightening bolt striking the building. It has ejected the occupants who seem to be tumbling to their deaths. The fool may need such a severe shakeup if he is going to free himself. Now the fool is calm. The beautiful images on the star card, number 17, shows you that. See, the woman is naked, her soul no longer hidden behind any disguise. The radiant stars shine in the cloudless sky, serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration. His faith in himself and the future is finally restored. He is filled with joy, and his one wish is to share it with the rest of the world. His heart is now open, and his love pours out freely. The peace after the storm is a magical moment for the fool. It is his bliss that makes him vulnerable to the illusions of the moon. Card number 18. The moon stimulates the creative imagination. It opens the way for bizarre and beautiful thoughts to bubble up from the unconscious. But deep-seated fears and anxieties also arise. It is the lucid clarity of the sun, card number 19, that directs the fool's imagination. The sun's illumination shines in all hidden places. It enlightens, so the fool both feels and understands the goodness of the world. It is time for the fool to make a deeper judgment about his life. The judgment card, card number 20. His own personal day of reckoning has arrived. Since he now sees himself truly, he can make the necessary decisions about his future. The fool re-enters the world, card number 21. But this time, he enters the world with a complete understanding. He has reached a new level of happiness and fulfillment. You see, the fool's journey was not so foolish after all. Through perseverance and honesty, he reestablished the spontaneous courage that first impelled him on his search for self. While the major arcana expresses universal themes, the minor arcana brings those themes down into the practical arena to show you how they operate in daily events. The minor arcana cards represents the concerns, activities, and emotions that make up the drama of our everyday lives. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so we can all live and learn together.